Hello and welcome to Always Bored, Never Boring. Your brave heroes stowed away on a vessel, travelling the mysterious rivers of the Underland. They crept through the docks and silently infiltrated the palace of the Drow Queen, where they finally confronted the vile monarch and ended her reign of terror. But even as she died, a new threat presented itself. The palace halls echoed with the chitinous scuttling of many legs, and a creature of unfathomable fury emerged from the gloom. This is no longer a palace. This is the lair of the Drider. Yes, I am lucky enough to have here a review copy of the Epic Encounters D&D compatible RPG kit, Lair of the Drider. This is a standalone product. It gives you everything you need for your heroes to face a monstrous Drider, but it can also be used in conjunction with the Palace of the Drow Queen kit, which I have already reviewed. I will put a link to that review in the video description below. Here you get the standard Epic Encounters packaging with the cover art showcasing the vile Drider. And it says on the tagline, "Turn your game nights up to 11. More like, turn your game nightmares up to 11. Remove the lid and you are presented with an A2 sized double-sided map featuring two layouts for the Drider's lair. Beneath that is the 36-page adventure booklet, and then you get a token sheet featuring 10 Drow tokens. These tokens make it possible to use this box without access to any other miniatures, but if you also have the Palace of the Drow Queen set, you can sub in plastic miniatures to use instead of the tokens, enhancing the overall immersion of the experience. Finally, under those tokens, you get your Drider, a monstrous beast on a 100mm base that is going to tower over your heroes, and which has enough legs to put most people off their lunch. Just look at this thing. It is wonderful. I mean, horrible, but wonderful. The legs with their sense of flailing unnatural motion, that impression they could all strike at once from different directions. The bulbous abdomen so swollen and fat, and the whole thing is presented on a cool scenic base. But, and this is a complaint I have had about some other Epic Encounters miniatures, because it's a pre-assembled miniature, and a very spindly one at that with lots of negative space, the fact it comes attached to its base is going to be a nuisance for painters. Getting a brush in between all those legs isn't going to be easy, and I think it would be great if Steamforged Games started making the bases removable to make slopping paint on them a little easier. That aside, this is a spectacular piece. Lots of detail, lots of character, lots of nightmare fuel. Fantastic. Let's take a closer look at our battle map. While it is double-sided, you aren't really getting two different environments. Both sides depict a Drider lair, a sort of wasteland with outcrops of glowing crystals and webbing clinging to the rocks and trees. But each side is a unique piece of artwork using distinct colour palettes, and each side is a unique layout. In effect, you get two options for where to confront the Drider, although both sides are also excellent for creepy environments where you might be facing drow or other nightmarish beasts. The adventure booklet is the standard format we have come to expect with Epic Encounters, and as always, it's beautifully presented and filled with excellent art and loads of great ideas for dungeon masters. We get the usual introduction, which covers how to use the encounter kit and how to scale it for heroes of different levels. These are the general guidelines you get in every adventure book, but later on we also get more specific instructions with stat blocks for 3 different Driders. Next we have a double-page spread introducing the encounter with a gruesome piece of art in case you were in any doubt regarding how unpleasant the Drider actually is. The book goes on to describe the Drider as being created from nightmares. It is the fusion of a drow and a gigantic spider, and there are many legends about it, some of which are included to help a dungeon master craft their adventure. Perhaps in your game the Driders are the creation of the monstrous spider goddess the drow worship, or maybe they were creations of the Drow Queen, designed to amplify her power. I like the idea that Driders are an embodiment of the Drow's collective rage, and trapped within that is the howling consciousness of the single Drow who was melded into the beast. That Drow can still remember what it was, and its imprisonment within a swirling vortex of misery drives it to unspeakable acts of violence and cruelty. There is also a page of hooks, story outlines to inspire your adventure. So perhaps the heroes are now being stalked by the Drider who seeks revenge for the slaying of the Drow Queen. Or maybe this is a sick game, a kind of gladiatorial combat where the drows throw warriors into the Drider lair to gamble on how long they will last. There are 5 different ideas here, which are all solid and also good inspiration for coming up with something new. We get one page giving an overall description of the Drider lair, which is likened to a padded cell for an insane patient, which I thought was a really cool way of looking at it. And there is also a page that talks about how the Drider fights. They have a tendency to constantly shift and change their strategies as their consciousness is fragmented, ravaged by pain and anger. The following pages cover specific aspects of the battle with the Drider, and is full of really useful ideas for making the confrontation memorable. One idea is that the Drider is always phasing in and out of reality, and there is a chart to roll on to see if they vanish, teleport, or temporarily lose some of their many limbs. Additionally, there is a page of ideas regarding terrain in the lair and how it might impact on the strategies both sides employ during the fight. The encounter maps are full of points of interest, and rules for them are included here. Much of the area is coated in webbing, vile and sticky stuff that can ensnare a hero, and there are sickly crystals everywhere that emit a deadly aura that inflicts poison damage and exhausts heroes subjected to prolonged exposure. The Drider has also made many tunnels, allowing it to dash quickly around the arena. Plus there are optional rules for rifts in the earth, terrible rends in reality that will tear apart anyone who slips through. Notice here there is a cut and paste error, and some text is reused twice on this page. Not the first time I've noticed that kind of error in these adventure books, and while they don't ruin the overall usefulness of the books, it's a bit sloppy. Next we have a Drider attack pattern, a flow diagram representing one of the many ways in which a Drider may act within a fight. This is a concept for an initial attack flow, but one of the key aspects of the Drider is they constantly flit between different styles of attacking, so heroes need to stay on their toes. Unfortunately, there's another big proofreading error on this page. All of the page references are still listed with placeholder letters instead of the actual page numbers. It's a shame when you see a product this good going to print with that kind of mistake. The following pages give more detailed information regarding the many tricks and tactics at the Drider's disposal. Healing itself, paralysing heroes with its stingers, shooting webbing, using vents to cover vast distances, summoning drow warriors, emitting a poisonous aura, phase shifting, which is effectively splitting into 3 entities for one turn, and tying up victims. It even has one horrifying ability which can turn an unwary hero into another Drider. One thing to note here, when summoning drow warriors, the most powerful Driders can bring up to 11 allies to the battlefield. This is an issue if you are using the cardboard tokens included with the set, as you only get 10. It is also an issue if you are using the miniatures from the Palace of the Drow Queen, as that set only includes 4 regular warriors, 4 warriors with crossbows, and 2 warriors on lizards. So the maths ain't mathin' whichever way you cut it. Moving on, we have another cool double page art spread, and that takes us straight into the stat blocks. First we have the Drow Warriors. This is a cut and paste from the Drow Queen book, but essential for those people who only have the Drider set. We then get 3 different versions of the Drider. The Corruption, who is challenge level 6 and worth 2,300 experience. The Blasphemy, who is challenge level 11 and worth 7,200 experience, and the Abomination, who is challenge level 20 and worth 25,000 experience. And that just about rounds things off, except for the credits and the licensing agreements at the end. All told, another solid entry into the Epic Encounters range. Personally, I prefer the sets that give you minions, Palace of the Drow Queen, Savannah of the Nullpack, and so on. I just know I'm going to get more use out of a lot of smaller enemies, which are also going to end up in games like Rangers of Shadowdeep. That said, this Drider is a fantastic boss, the kind of thing you can introduce at the end of a campaign to create a really satisfying final battle. Also, the kind of thing that is just going to gross people out when you leave it on the table. Yes, there are a few editing and proofreading mistakes in the adventure book, which I don't like to see, but it's nothing that harms the overall value of the product as a Dungeon Master's resource. And I really do think these products are so useful. Being able to buy a box that has everything you need to put together a memorable encounter for your games is such a good idea, and it makes being a Dungeon Master just that little bit easier. And it's amazing how many new storylines I start to think up as I read through the adventure books. I certainly see trouble ahead for my adventurers. But that is it for now. If you are interested in any of the Epic Encounters products from Steamforged Games, I will include a link to their web store in the video description below so you can check them out. And as always, if you like the video, please consider pressing the like button. If you really like the video, please consider subscribing if you don't already do so. And hopefully, I'll see you all again very soon. Bye bye everyone. Bye bye.